Good morning, it's me, Mr. Trewen, and we're back for a very short video. Today we're going to be looking at something that we struggled with big on our Cycle 1 assessment back in October. And this is something called partitioning a segment. Now, we didn't do too good on this, even though we had done so many of these problems that I think a lot of you should have done really well. The problem was that I believe that when we looked at this problem back on our Cycle 1 exam, it was written in a different format. And it's the same thing. The problems on the left and the right here, example 1 and 2, are the exact same problem. They're done in the exact same fashion, but they're written in two different ways. So I'm going to go over the one that we practiced so hard and was in so many of our homework problems. And then I'm going to show you the exact same thing that we struggled with on the Cycle 1 assessment so that we do not get it wrong on the Cycle 2 assessment. All right, so here's what I'm looking at. This is called partitioning a segment. And the goal is to think about it the goal is to basically figure out how far you are on a journey from A to B given a certain fraction, say a half, a third, a fourth, a fifth, 3/4, whatever, 7/10. Figuring out the exact location if you're not at the middle of the point or the middle of the segment or actually at the end of the segment, somewhere along the line. So in this case, we're supposed to find the coordinates of a point 1/4 of the way from A to B. So I want to quickly just jot down something quick so we understand the fractions we're looking at. Let's just call this A and call this B. We're going to take a journey, and this journey is divided into fourths. So that means that there are 4 points. And we want to figure out this one right here, this very first one. We want to go 1/4 of the way. Now, I know that we're going to start at A and go to B by the way it's written. It says 1/4 of the way from A to B. And this is really big because this will come into play in a moment when I get the final answer. So if we think about this as, let's call A our house and B, let's say Disney World. All right, we're in Florida. Let's say we're going to go to Disney World. We want to figure out when we're 1/4 of the way there. Maybe we need to stop and get some snacks or stop and use the restroom, I don't know. But we're 1/4 of the way on our journey from A to B. All right, so the first thing we got to look at is our overall trip. I need to figure out 2 very important numbers about A to B. So when I look at A to B, I need to look at how far left and right. How far left and right? This is talking about the x values. If I start at my journey at -6 and I go all the way to 10, how far have I traveled from the left and right or right to left? How far have I traveled? Well, if you start down at -6 and you go towards 10, you end up traveling 16 units across in this direction, which is positive. So when I talk about A to B, my x value all the way across would be 16 units. Now when I look at my up and down, how far up and down? Well, if I look at this in context of how far up and down, if I start my journey, I'm at -3 down here, and I travel up to 9, that's a total of 12 units. So my y value is 12 units. Okay, this is basically the hardest part of the problem because the easier part now is, now that we understand what we're looking at, now we travel, how far we travel. Now all we gotta do is put that into context with what's a fourth. All right, so if I total distance is 1/16, all I need to do now is know what is 1/4 of that. So I say 1/4 times 16. 1 times 16 divided by 4 is 4. And then 1/4 of 12. 1 times 12 divided by 4 is 3. So I need to assign these, and I want to put a sign on them because I want to talk about which distance I traveled. And if I went from negative to positive, that means I went this way, which means when it came to my journey, I went 4 this way. And then the same thing goes with here. I've got 12. I went from -3 to 9, which means I went up the page. All right, so to get the final answer, here we go. Add this much to the original X value and add this much to your original Y value. So I had -6, comma -3, and when I add these on, I'll just put it underneath. That'll work for me. I end up getting -2, comma 0. The coordinate's 1/4. All right, well, let's look at this same problem written in a totally different way, but it's the same problem. All right, part 2 here, example 2. It says, point R divides a line segment with endpoints P 4,5 and Q 10,14 in a ratio such that PR to RQ is 1 to 2. Okay, well that means on our diagram here, if we want to make a diagram, we have one leg of the journey, and then we have a 2 leg, and then another 2 legs. Let's look at that as a fraction now. R is 1, PR is 1 to 2, meaning how many, what is our overall fraction that we're looking at? How many parts are really here with a ratio of 1 to 2? And that would be 1, 2, 3. So when we say a ratio of 1 to 2, we're talking about thirds. I just need to go 1/3 the distance. That's what I'm looking for. So let's look at this again, making this quicker this time because now we know what we're doing. If P is at 4 and Q is at 10, that means I've traveled in this direction 6. So my X value is 6 units. My Y value, I traveled from 5 to 14, means I've traveled 9 units. So if I need to find a third of them to get the answer, all I got to do is say 1/3 of 6. 1 times 6 divided by 3 is +2 because I went this way. And then the other one, 1/3 times 9 equals +3 because I went up the page. I went from 5 to 14. Well, I have to add those on to P and I've got my answer. So here's P. And I just need to go +2 and +3, giving me a grand total of 6, 8. All right, and that's partitioning a segment. I think we can do this. I know they're going to be on our exam. And then let's just think about it in the easiest context. Just measure your distance across and this times a fraction. And that should do it for you. I hope this helps. Bye.